up in the shootout round on lanes 25 and 26 here at the National Bowling Stadium. Parker Bohn III getting the crowd into this one, and we are set to bowl.
Starting with Parker Bohn III, and I can't emphasize enough what a great style this man has. If you're a youngster, try and bowl like this.
And that's the way to start it out. Parker Bohn III, a strike in frame number 1 of the shootout. And Marshall, I guess one of the first questions we should have here, why the dominance of left-handers?
Well, this bowling center, the National Bowling Stadium, seems to have favored the lefties both in this event, and we go back to our Tournament of Champions last year. We had 5 lefties on our telecast. So something about the lay of the synthetics as we see a great shot on lane 26.
And Chris Sand answers with a strike of his own in frame number 1. So up next, Mike Mullin from New City, New York. Left-hander, 23 years old. Marshall, a very mature 23-year-old is Mike Mullin.
He's done a lot of great things at the collegiate level. Looking to step up to national television. And look at that first shot, Gary. A great shot from Mike Mullin. Nothing but strikes in our opening frame. Take a look at the style of Mike Mullin. A youngster with a fairly simple style, a little bit of a high backswing, gets through the ball very well, projects the ball down the lane. He's got to feel good about that first shot. I know it's tough.
So Parker Bohn up in frame number 2. He'll be leaving for Anchorage, Alaska after this tournament today. And he's on fire, starting it out in frame number 2 with a strike.
And just barely kicks out that 7-pin. Very friendly roll for Parker Bohn, and he is without a doubt the favorite. We take another look at Chris Sand on lane 25. He answers the veteran Parker Bohn with a strike of his own for the double.
Everybody perfect so far, and Mike Mullin looking to follow suit in frame number 2. 1996 graduate of St. John's with a communications degree, and he started to work on the Teen Challenge Bowling Series, but decided to bowl regularly and full-time instead.
You think he's got designs on my job?
More like mine.
Got a hold. Ball was simply right off his hand.
And leaves the 2-4-7 in frame number 2.
And we'll take a look. You can see that just did not get the ball far enough to the left. Ball's hooking high. It's going to hit too much of the head pin, leaving the 2-4-7.
One of the reasons Mike Mullin went to St. John's, because first of all, it's close to home and he doesn't like to travel a lot, but they have a great bowling program, and he was the star bowler on the St. John's bowling team. So Mike Mullin, a great start for his career at the age of 23.
And a very good spare conversion. So after a couple frames, Gary, Mike Mullin is 10 pins behind both Parker Bohn and Chris Sand.
And now Parker Bohn up in frame number 3. Struggled a bit in match play, Marshall, but is on track now.
I'll say he's on track, and I asked Parker prior to the telecast about these lanes. He said the left lane hooked a little bit more. He's got them both figured out right now as we take a look at Parker Bohn. Does he know it's a great shot? Put the pressure on the youngsters once again.
Now it's Chris Sand.
Trying to answer back. I told you he gets excited.
And Marshall, let's take a look at the replay here of Chris Sand as he bowls in the 3rd.
We take a look at this reaction. He knows it's close. Grit those teeth, young man. You're tied.
And there you see it, Mike Mullin presently down 20 pins.
And the difference right now, Gary, Parker Bohn, Chris Sand, nothing but great shots. Mike Mullin with 1 errant in the 2nd. Needs to answer here, and a very, very tough break. Leaves the 6-7. Now, in order to make this, he needs to get the ball right of the 6-pin, drive it into the 7.
And Mike Mullin takes a shot. It's no good. We'll be back to the National Bowling Stadium with more in just a moment. Bowling Stadium for the American Bowling Congress Masters. Time now for the Alka-Seltzer Friday night recap, where the position round determined who made today's TV finals. And Mike Albee, top seed, looking for his 3rd Masters win, Marshall.
And Mike Sands trying to bowl a 300 game here. He just barely misses out. Pressured Mike Albee for the lead. And we've got Mike Mullin on 4 in a row right here. That enabled him to get into our shootout round.
And Mike Mullin bowling very well this week. Defending champion Jason Queen lost to Chris Aiden, so he is no longer here. That's this week's Alka-Seltzer Friday night recap. And there you see it right now. Mike Mullin behind Parker Bohn III and Chris Sand by 33 pins. Parker Bohn up in the 4th.
Another great one from Parker, and I think he likes being the man going first. Has the opportunity to really put the pressure on the younger players. If we take a look at Parker Bohn, great straight arm swing, perfect follow through. Watch this high flush hit in the pocket.
All right, Chris Sand is up next, looking for his 4th consecutive strike as well.
Well, as you can see, Chris Sand certainly intimidated by Parker Bohn. I guess not. Great shot once again.
Well, Chris's parents own a couple of bowling centers in Michigan, one outside a racetrack called Hazel Park. So I guess you could say Chris Sand and Parker Bohn III are neck and neck right now, and Mike Mullin trying to make up some ground on those two.
Well, he finds himself 43 pins down after 4 frames. Needs to strike. That'll serve him well.
And Mike Mullin battling back in frame number 4. So he had 3 strikes across the board in the 4th frame. Parker Bohn's going to start out the 5th frame. Thinks that the fact that Chris and Mike have not bowled on TV might give him a bit of an edge, but I don't think that Chris believes that. Here's Parker on lane 25.
5 in a row for Parker Bohn III. The great style of Parker Bohn. He coming in a little light, but he's got it.
So now Chris Sand on lane 26. Again, our TV pair today, lanes 25 and 26. Chris Sand also looking for his 5th consecutive strike. Can't get it though, Marshall. He leaves the 7-pin. Well, catch the PBA Tour online. You'll get the latest tournament results and features, plus stats, bios, and chat live with the pros on www.pbatour.com, sponsored by Brunswick.
And right now, Chris Sand needs a spare in the 5th frame to remain only 11 pins down.
And Chris Sand pumps his fist in the air as he picks up the spare in frame number 5. And that puts him down to 11 pins to Parker Bohn III now, who is in charge by himself. He's got a 53-pin advantage over Mike Mullin, 11 over Chris Sand. So Parker Bohn III is, in fact, in the driver's seat. Mike Mullin is up next on lane 25. No question about the fact that Mike Mullin needed that strike to remain in contention here. As we said earlier, a very mature 23 years old. He has 27 junior titles, wants to be a pro, but wants to take his time about getting to the PBA Tour. So now we're going to watch Parker Bohn III in frame number 6, and he has been perfect so far. And remains that way, gets into it and gets the crowd into it as well.